Hey, what's going on, you guys? Today I want to talk to you about Gibson, specifically Gibson Les Paul, and the price hike that they've had recently, and why I stand with Gibson, with why they did this thing. We're going to be talking about the Gibson Les Paul, and I'm mainly going to be talking about the three models, which is the Gibson Les Paul Studio, Gibson Les Paul Classic, and the Gibson Les Paul Standard. I feel capped at spending 2,700 American dollars on a guitar. That's me personally. Some of you guys watching this video right now, it's probably chump change, right? But one of the things that I would like to say is Gibson is one of those brands that is iconic. If you were to talk to some of your friends who perhaps know very little about guitars, and you say, hey guys, you know, I just bought a Gibson Les Paul and it is killer, man. I bet you any of your friends that don't even play guitar and don't know anything about guitar will know what you're talking about and be happy for you. However, if you talk to people that don't know a thing about guitars and you tell them you just bought a brand new ESP E2 Eclipse, they're gonna think you're talking about a video game, because honestly, doesn't that sound like the name of some kind of a video game? So on this part, Gibson is for the win because they are iconic and that brand name is iconic. You might be considering comparing the Gibson Les Paul to a Fender Strat and say that for $800 you can buy a Fender Stratocaster. However, these Gibson Les Pauls are entirely made in the United States. Even these components that you're going to see on a Gibson Les Paul, all made in the United States. These $800 Fender Stratocasters or Fender Telecasters, they are going to be made in Mexico. The other thing too, right? I'm fully aware about Gibson having quality control issues, because I belong to a lot of groups on Facebook where people will buy a Gibson Les Paul for under $3,000 and complain about quality control issues. But you know what? There's also people buying American-made or Japanese-made Jackson guitars also having quality control issues. Now, I'm not saying Gibson has more or less than Jackson or any other guitar manufacturer, but if you're selling hundreds of thousands of guitars per year, a few of them are going to slip through the cracks that have quality control issues. And if you happen to be on the receiving end of one of those guitars for close to $3,000, yeah, you're going to be a little bit ticked off, you know. The other thing that you want to consider too is Gibson uses nitrocellulose for finishes. To a lot of you guys that don't know much about different types of finishes, they release something called the VOC, which can cause cancer as well as many other brain problems, mental problems, cancer, respiratory illnesses, respiratory problems. You can die from these things. And because nitrocellulose is so toxic, Gibson can only make so many guitars per day. One of the reasons I stand behind Gibson is because being limited on how many guitars you can produce, they have a very high demand, right? You've all heard of supply and demand. If you can only produce this many guitars per year, but you sell generally about the same, and you jack up your price, and then the sales are still matching up, then why not? If Gibson were to suddenly do a massive price drop of let's say $1,000 per guitar, you could pick up a Gibson Les Paul Studio for $700.
I'd say Gibson's completely idiotic.
Because if you were one of those people that was suddenly thinking, I want to buy a Gibson Les Paul Studio now that they're so cheap, probably by the time you get online or get down to the local store, they're going to be all sold out because they're so cheap. It's something about logic here, okay? Another thing is, Gibson Les Pauls have a very distinct tone. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it is the pickups, their scaling, the tone woods, whatever. Alright? They have a very distinct tone. You could turn on any kind of a song and tell relatively quick if this is being played on a Gibson Les Paul. They're not really going to have a lot of bite with their tones. They're not really going to have that really hardcore thrashy metal type of a tone. You're going to have to do some modifications if you're going to want to do that, by the way. But they do have a nice rock tone. If you ever listen to Guns N' Roses, you'll know what I'm talking about. And I'm fully aware that Slash originally used a Chinese copy, so beat you to it. Gibson does use expensive woods. A lot of these have trade tariffs on it, So if they say they want to get in that Honduras Mahogany, they're gonna have to pay extra for it. Granted, that does not justify paying $3,000 for a guitar, because I believe Jackson and LTD, when they use mahogany, it's the same type of mahogany, which is the Honduras Mahogany. Honduras red mahogany, not Sapele. Sapele is generally reserved for your less expensive guitars because Sapele is very cheap and it's very abundant. It is not on the endangered species list at the time of this video, which is 2022, in case any of you guys are watching from the future. They might not have the best playability, but when you're playing a Gibson Les Paul on stage, you are not entertaining a room full of guitar players. I'm sure there's going to be some guitar players that are out there in the crowd probably telling you could get a better tone if you used this guitar or you used that guitar, you know, but if you're out there on stage and you're playing a Gibson Les Paul and you're rocking out and you've got great stage presence, which is very important to some of you bands out there that I've seen live here in Vermont and New England, having a Gibson Les Paul is kind of a badge of honor, all right? If you're in a successful rock band or music group, I should say, you could even be in a pop group. If you're rocking a Gibson Les Paul and you guys are doing really good, you're making good money from it, it's kind of, I don't know how to put it the right way, but it's kind of like a badge of honor. If you're a very successful band and your guitar player's coming out and he's got this nice little $200 cheap guitar and he's like, yeah, we're gonna rock out today, and most of the people are gonna be like, the hell's your guitarist got there? You buy that on Etsy or something? But if you come out with a Gibson Les Paul, it's just kind of a thing that's gonna kind of help the audience get into it a little bit more. Personally, that's what I think. With a Gibson, Fender, PRS, a lot of people that don't even play guitar, they know what these are, and they are iconic. The list of guitar players who play these instruments is phenomenal, through the roof. I'm looking at your successful guitar players who have been playing for more than 40 years successfully. I'm not talking about bands that have been around for 2 years and they're playing $500 guitars. I'm not saying that these $500 guitars are not good, by the way, because I own one and I'm happy with it. I have an $800 guitar. I'm also very happy with that too, which you can see in another demo that I've done for my Jackson Juggernaut. Actually, I think that was a $1,000 guitar. Anyway, we're not talking about that today. We're talking about Gibsons and why I support the company. I don't play in a live band right now, but I did back in the 1990s. We were successful enough that I only needed to work a part-time job to keep my income at a steady level to pay the bills for my place. I did play an Epiphone Les Paul and I was very happy with it. The quality was good. This was in about 1995 era to the late 90s. Everything was great. I personally always have enjoyed playing the Gibson Les Paul. There's just something about it that it's just phenomenal. It's a great instrument. So this is going to be it for my video, you guys. I know that a lot of you guys are going to agree. I know that maybe a lot of you guys are going to agree with some of the points that I made. But look at it from a business standpoint. You can only create so much product, and you still sell a lot of this product. So, with that being said, why would you not raise your prices? Not to mention with the current situation where everybody's hiring, everyone's working short-staffed. So, why not the price hike? I'm not saying that I fully support the price hike, but $200 for a guitar for a price hike is really not that bad. So with all that being said, I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you're new to my channel, please consider hitting the subscribe button as well as hitting the bell notification so you know when I upload new videos. And if you did enjoy this video, hit the like button and let me know what is your opinion about Gibson guitars in general versus the price hike. Take care, you guys, and thanks for checking out my video. Bye.